Hi, Ron.
It's 6 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. First item will be roll call.
Brown.
Here.
Davis.
Here.
Turkey.
Here.
Gray.
Here.
Dale.
Here.
Walker.
Here.
We'll say the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everyone can take a moment of silence if they like. Take a motion to approve the agenda. There's one addition, is item F, the billing export that we have a handout for there.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah,
on the Winter Ambulance District, that's where you're from. I don't know you, but I figured that's where you're from. Can we move them up on the schedule in case they have other things they want to get done?
yeah.
Instead of being, that might be,
Whole business.
so I would approve that schedule.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Everyone's had a chance to look over the previous minutes. There are no additions or corrections, I'm saying. Approved as presented. Announced visitors, we have Rhonda Scott and Nancy Erdman. There was no public comment sent in, so we'll move on to the audit presentation.
Okay, you have your packets in front of you. We did your audit again this year, and we have issued an unmodified audit report, which means that there were no findings and there were no issues with the audit at all. It was what we call a clean audit. If you will notice also the supplementary information, we also did an audit of the supplementary information as well, which is the MD&A report, which is done by Jamie, with using the information that you have for your books. The MD&A is an important part of the financial statements and should be read, because what happens, the MD&A gives you a comparative between last year and this year, which when we perform our audit, you're only getting a single year, which is the current year. So this is a way that you can look back and see historically what has been happening. And it will give you an idea of how you're progressing and how things are moving forward. I point out on page 10 of your packet, the net position modified cash basis in the MD&A, and you will see how things are comparing. You'll see that your total net position has increased in 2022 over 2021. If you then go to your page 11, you will have an opportunity to see, we are required by GASB to include 3 comparative years in an MD&A now. And so we added 2020 to that, and you can see how not only your sales tax revenue has increased, but your service fees, all of your revenues and all of your expenses, so you can see where you are with that historically. The audit itself begins, the financial statements begin on page 13 with the statement of net position. This is very similar to a balance sheet if you were full cash basis and you were not a governmental. So what you have, your total assets, but you will notice that your total liabilities and assets do not equal each other because it is a net position. So what you're going to find, if you look at the total assets that are on page 13, and you subtract the liabilities, which include your payroll liabilities and your credit card liabilities, you come up with your total net position. This is what is, see, how can I explain that? It is the cash that you have that is available for use, basically. The page 14 is the net revenues, expenses, and changes in net assets and net position. I had been questioned several years ago with regard to how this is put together, and you will see that you have an operating revenues, which basically is what you're making with running the ambulance district, your charges for services, the monies that you get from insurance and the like. Your operating expenses is virtually everything you do. And so when you look at your operating revenue compared to your operating expenses, you're going to show an operating loss. This is typical. This is not anything to be afraid of because you rely heavily on sales tax. And you will see that when you add your non-operating revenue, which is your sales tax, interest income, gain on sale of assets, those types of non-operating income that you would use, you actually have a good net position this year. You had a net position of $1,352,529. Now, this probably has something to do with the fact that your expenses were probably not as high as they would normally be, because I know there were some issues with getting equipment if it was ordered, but it wasn't delivered. So you're going to see that this is going to change periodically over the years. Cash flow statement is basically a cash flow statement. It shows your different areas and where your cash is coming from and how it is being used. We always do a compliance check as well. If you turn back to the required communications and compliance report, we are required by GASB and by FASB to basically give you a statement of how our audit was done. We had no audit findings at all. There was none. Everything was in good shape. I enjoy doing this audit because I know that the books are in good shape, and it is very, very helpful. No disagreements with management. Jamie and I seem to get along pretty well. And there were, as I said, there were no findings. If you go on to the compliance portion of the report, we look at deficiencies, we look at internal control, we look at all of those aspects. While we do not give an opinion on internal control, it is still part of the compliance report, and there were no findings. I reviewed the laws everything that I saw, you're within the guidelines of the laws. So there's no problem there. Are there questions? I guess I did. That's scary. You are very, very welcome. Very welcome. Thank you for continuing, allowing Hood to do the work. I enjoy doing this. We have one more year on a 3-year engagement. So I'll be back next year, right, wrong, or otherwise. If nothing else, I'm gonna leave because I'm going to go work on another audit. I get to go to Savannah tomorrow. You wanna go with me? I've never heard of Savannah. I know, no, I'm pretty kind of busy. Thank you. Have a good night. I will, you too. Bye-bye now.
So we need a motion to accept all of those.
I'm totally blank right now. I don't recall.
Couldn't hurt.
It's all record anyway. I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Just a comment, so kudos to Jamie, because writing the MD&A is
Is that one of your favorite things?
difficult.
You don't have to do one, do you?
Yes,
Oh, you do, because you have
Yes.
definitely, yeah.
yeah, but,
Great.
good job on that.
Thank you.
So,
It's, yeah, the MDNA is one of my least favorite things to do in all of what I do. But. And if there's, you know, if you guys read that, have any questions, holler, because, I mean, if you look at mine, mine's all marked up. I got notes and check marks and where'd this number come from, what numbers are these, so, yeah, if you have any questions, because they just put stuff in different places, they're all in the same categories, they just compile them together.
just FYI, Lori, I made Lori do a paragraph too.
Well, yeah, I show it to Eric, in case somebody asks him a question, ask him if he has anything to add and subtract. Mostly he's my grammar police.
We'll move on to the officer report, the CFO report.
Okay. Be on page 32 is where we'll start. And I am gonna apologize in advance and ask for grace, but I am about 3 weeks behind on everything, so there's no financials in here for what month? May. So I hope to get caught up, but we're starting billing July 1st, which is really gonna be the 5th. So it's a little hectic around my world right now, so.
Don't worry about it.
I'll get there, it'll just take me a little time to get all caught up, so I don't know, we spent all afternoon with the whole billing team together, trying to figure some things out, and we spent part of the morning trying to figure some things out, so, yeah. It's just a lot of things as far as processes, procedures, that kind of stuff that we're trying to get put in place, so, page 32 is our sales tax receipts for June. Our sales tax receipts were $355,149.77. So that was down about $6,600 over last year. Overall, we're still $141,783 above last year at this time, which is 8%. Any questions? Page 33 is our bank balances as of June 23rd versus May 18th. On the top half and year over year on the bottom half. Any questions on that? You can see that treasury note about 2/3 down on the page. The one that was due 5/31/23, you can see that negative, and then that money is in the ambulance vehicle replacement account right now. Page 34 is just the chart that shows what cash has been. Page 35 is our cash reserve analysis. Not much change from May. Yeah, 244.85 days instead of 244.94, so real close, same number of months in cash reserve. Pages 36 through 41 is the check register. Anybody have any questions on any of that? Okay, if not, page 42 is the summary of bills that are currently due, and the details are on page 43. Any questions?
Yeah.
Sure.
The EMS Management Consultants Inc., what,
That's a billing company.
the building company, okay?
Yep.
And the T-shirts and hats, Main Street logo, the purpose of those,
Uniforms.
that's just a standard,
Mhm.
okay?
Yep.
And the stone laser imaging, 10th anniversary, what was that?
So that was,
$100.
that was the keychains and the bags that were part of our promotional items, so. And we still use
Those
those.
went to whom?
So whoever attended the event, they were there, and then we still have a lot left.
Okay, thank you.
And then why is, your name and Katie's name have an asterisk after it?
Because I have to have,
Are you?
as an employee, no, so the way QuickBooks works, you have to have them set up separately.
Oh, that's
Because-
it's like a different name.
Yeah, it's making it a different name, which these reimbursements will go through payroll, but the way the flow works from Bill.com to QuickBooks, it has to be set in there.
I thought you were all stars or something.
Yeah, well, we are. But no, it's just the names. So. Any other questions on those? If not, that is the end of my report.
If there,
Oh, no, I apologize. I think I have one more. I was like, wait a minute, I think I left something out. So we've gotten some garnishments for employees in the last couple of weeks that are new. They have to be paid 10 days after payroll's done. So I just wanted to see how you guys, if you just wanted me to put those bills in and have my two approvers approve them before and get them paid and do it that way. Okay, all right, well, I'll let you guys know which ones. There's only one right now that's getting paid, so I'll let you know which one that is. So, sorry, now I think I'm done. Go back to my list to make sure that everything else is another item, so I think we're good.
are there any other questions on the CFO report? If not, I would take a motion to receive the CFO.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. I would take a motion to approve payment of outstanding bills.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We'll move on to unfinished business, Windsor Ambulance District.
Just after, I know Nick said this is Ron Scott and Nancy are from North Ambulance Report, if you haven't met.
We've met well, I have met, no, everybody, I don't think, are you the new board member?
I'm the new one,
Walker?
well,
So-
Kevin Walker.
Okay, nice to meet you. Nancy's kind of our new board member. She's been on a year, a little over a year or so, almost two. She took a place of somebody that, due to health issues, had to resign. But, okay. Steve Galloway is our president. He couldn't be here tonight due to personal reasons. He could not attend, so Nancy agreed to come and join us tonight. So we are here if there's any questions or anything that you have. I know that we implemented the sales tax. We started receiving those checks. Does anybody have any questions about that? I don't know. I've talked to Rick Watson, the Henry County clerk, I think it's in August, we might have kind of an idea of what we'll have, but I do have, just something I sent to the Henry County Clerk's office, and I said, can you kind of explain if my theory's right on how much it will increase our payment to you? And based on our figures, just, this is rough estimate, we're getting around, at the time, is like $14,000 a month more, or in sales tax. And so I'm thinking roughly might be 70 to 80,000 additional funds for next year on top of the, even with, after the rollback. So,
Have you had any issues having to work with 4 counties?
I haven't had any issues, but it's not easy.
No,
I mean, all the counties did pass it, the sales tax, nobody turned it down, so. Our community is very supportive of us continuing with having a district, especially when Clinton, I mean, even though they don't support our area at all, if anything, Pettis County supports them, so. In all our calls.
and are there any plans for the extra money that's coming in?
For us,
Uh,
well, we know that the facility is not in the best of shape, so we're gonna have to do something there, and that's where the money, the extra funds will be used.
Just work, remodeling it and fixing it up,
Or just with guidance from what's needed. It may, I mean, it is just a double wide.
Yeah.
It's not a home, really. So it may just be tore down and then some small version of whatever this district would prefer. I mean, because we don't know, I mean, we have no idea what it would require. So, but it is, I mean, it's working, but it's not TT highway or anything.
no, there are some,
Or anything, here, so that's our ultimate goal, is to be able to put something there that would service you all, because we will never be able to house, do anything ourselves.
never,
It's not, it's failed twice, so.
I was just going to inquire, generally speaking, the degree of resistance and confusion that you had to overcome to put this in place.
The sales tax.
We really didn't have a ton of resistance. We went and met with a lot of different organizations, tried to get the word out. PCAD has the best services around, and we want to make sure that, we are able to pay our part or more than our part to keep you all coming. And I mean, I don't know that we have really any resistance. I never had anybody call me.
I would have expected some dealing with 4 county governments, and the citizenry was ambivalent then, or excited about this, or?
They just don't want us to lose having that service in our community. Because that's what brings people to Windsor. They look at the school district. Do you have a nursing home facility? We have with the nursing home, the hospital, the school, and they want to have a service there. So it's important to have those. So I don't know that I heard any negativity about it whatsoever.
And all parties are pretty clear on, there's no confusion, they're pretty clear on why they're being taxed and where that money is going.
Yeah, I've not had anybody.
That's good, thank you.
It's hard to explain.
I know, that's why I figured there'd be some confusion, and maybe 1 or 2 counties would drag their feet on you.
Benton County, really, there isn't any businesses in the Benton County part of it. John's actually the only outside community things are really just our Amish businesses.
I figured just figuring out who pays and who doesn't within each of those counties would have been.
And that's, we're still trying to make sure, going through that list and making sure we've got, because there is a lot of little Amish businesses around, but they're all, I mean, they don't vote, but they're extremely supportive of it because they know they need that.
Okay, thank you.
Did you get your sales tax
reports, we were able to get that.
I have just finally got Steve to sign the form, so it's going back, so.
So that'll help you be able to see.
Who all have, who's paying, who's not.
We're excited about that. We've got, we have new emails.
The one, I mean, this really doesn't affect you all, but just to let you know, there is a little discrepancy in Henry County about where our boundary lies. There was, but I think we have finally figured that, got that from when it started in 1976 or whatever, I think it's 86, or something. Nancy's good on dates there, I mean.
Well, I've been looking at that. In 86, and 911 had us doing Henry County and the Henry County School District. And that's not all. And so, because we have new computers, new email addresses, we wanted to put our ambulance district on a map, on our new website, which will redirect to you all. But, so GIS shows it in, you all know what GIS is, in Pez County, Johnson County, Benton County, but it wasn't in Henry County, which was our biggest area. And so I called the assessor and asked him if he could put that on the GIS so that we could bring the four, that's hard, to merge 4 counties into one to get a map. And then they had discrepancy. I said, well, where's 911 sending people? And within the next week, they send a Golden Valley ambulance to a Windsor ambulance district person. And so then they're mapping it. So GIS is mapping it. It's taking a little while, and then Dr. Scott will put it on the 911 and that will be merged. I think they said August something. So that should show up, and we have been told we will get a map.
No more crayons and coloring.
No, I mean, the map that they found through the districts was taken over, it was incorrect. Yeah. So actually it's cleaner.
Yeah.
So that's.
By
what
adding
we're
the
doing.
sales
Follow
tax,
up with that, yeah.
this is what's all come about, so.
Good. Nancy did a ton of legwork and getting all that map together.
It's not over
It was-
yet, but
If
it's-
you've ever seen our maps across the street, you can see how difficult it was. And a lot of that's because of the full county dynamic.
And we both thought it wasn't correct, and now it is. I mean, it will be.
How do you do the 911 calls? Where do they come from?
That's a very question.
Well,
Depending on where they originate, pretty much everything in Henry County goes to Henry County and they send it up to Sedalia. The rest, I don't think there's any stuff in Johnson that they typically call us on, that all of that goes to the Henry County dispatch. But none of it's CAD, they don't have any computer aided dispatch or anything, they just pretty much go to
And they
Sedalia.
are 911.
They'll dispatch the calls down there, but as far as getting calls down there, if we get a call in Sedalia, they have to send it down there to Henry County and vice versa. And it gets a little, some of it gets lost in translation, but it's not terrible.
How does that work with cell phones? The nearest ping, how's that, how do they know where a call comes from if the person does not answer?
Towers.
Give them a physical location.
Yeah, I believe it's all off towers. Like, if it doesn't know where you're at, it sends you to the highway patrol and then they figure it out, but it's that's not my wheelhouse.
Thank you, because it's not like you pick up the home line and they know right where it is.
yeah, I used it a couple of weeks ago, and found a tenant unconscious. And so I dialed 911, and it was pretty interesting to hear the dispatch and how it works. But I was using my cell phone, which that's not my home address,
But you
where I
could
was.
tell them where you were.
I could.
Yeah, but if you didn't,
Shingling. And I kept saying, I don't hear a siren. And the ambulance got there pretty quickly.
And they can't triangulate them off of the tower.
yeah, that's what I was wondering if it went to the nearest.
Prepaid is where it is real best.
Thank you.
It wasn't awesome.
And I've gone online to look at Windsor Ambulance District, but there doesn't seem, on the state level, there isn't one anymore. It refers them to Pez County.
Right.
So,
You mean on like our website?
yeah, well, I just did a search.
We did the same thing.
I was wanting to see how far it goes into Henry and Johnson and I knew how far it went into Pettus, but,
That's what
But
we're
I
trying to
couldn't-
clarify, so when you do that, you'll have that map and you'll know.
so I don't think Windsor Ambulance District has a number. Or they are, they're
Phone
still,
number?
no,
Oh, a service number? No.
so the state knows that they're part of Pettus County then, I guess.
Yeah, on the state, I just, next board meeting, I've got some information on a report to share with you guys that
Okay,
kind of addresses that. And it, all of the data at the state and national level that outlines served areas like number of ambulances or ambulance stations per 100,000 or per 1,000 square miles. It's all, there's a lag of about 3 or 4 years in it. So when you look at the data, Windsor doesn't exist.
yeah, that's
So
what
that's-
it looks like.
Yeah, but it
But I know it's there.
It's there. Yeah, it's there.
So for people like you, that's what we're trying to clarify. So if you want to know, then you can Google it and find it, you know. Hopefully it'll be up.
So
What
is
did it hear?
that one of your bigger challenges right now? You have other challenges? that
It's
you're
one of
working
my-
on?
It's one of my things to
And we
get it
can,
in my head and I want it done.
and like I said, we can get that information on our website too. That
Sure.
would be helpful as well.
Yes.
The building.
Much better than the maps we have.
The building project, since we passed the sales tax,
So you can
this
start
building-
planning that now.
the building project will be our next, whatever. I mean, we haven't got their code yet, but we are updating our bylaws. And we're working on those, and then probably our next project will be starting to research about it, but then, so, something small that works and convenient, and that lost, I guess that lost, the only thing that,
If I might just add, I was in training last week, so I was unable to attend the Windsor meeting, but I told Steve that Windsor invested in a automatic generator, kind of like we have at our stations as well, and it's supposed to be delivered, I believe, the middle of July, or shipping at the middle of July, yeah. Hopefully it gets here and there, but yeah, I hadn't broke that news to you guys. There it is. Yeah, it'll be nice, and here, plenty of time for weather.
Right.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions?
And come out of it.
well, it's definitely come a long way since 2015 when it collapsed, so. And we are just thankful that you guys have worked with us and got us through a lot of humps and, but, there's just not, it'll never be able to function. There's just not enough, there's just not that there, so.
But it
Just
does-
follow the district.
but it does sound like with the sales tax, your contribution to Pettus County is
Yes.
going to cover most of our, if not all of our expenses that we have.
Right.
So,
And that was, I think it's gonna be more than what I'm estimating, because prices have went up, plus I think your assessments have all went up, or they have in your county some, so I'm thinking that, so even the property tax is gonna be higher, so I'm hoping it's, 300, pushing that 330, 340 next year, so.
because that takes the pressure off. But I haven't heard much at all complaints about it anymore. But a few years ago, shortly after that happened, we had quite a few people in town that were saying, we're sending all of our money down there, why are we coming here?
Well, because our sales tax, our property tax rate wasn't near high enough to cover it, and then adding the sales tax hopefully will make up any kind of difference.
But I haven't heard hardly anything anymore, so.
That's
That was our goal.
one thing when I came on the board, they were kind of giving me the history, and I knew the people that had been appointed worked hard, but they couldn't have done it without
But like
this
being able-
district.
yeah, like
They really appreciate it.
By telling taxpayers, they're paying their way, it's not a big pot we're dumping our money into your.
And it's amazing how many people come to Windsor and like the Amish,
Oh, yeah.
a big draw, and with Katy Trail and Rock Island Trail through Windsor, we have a lot of people come through there. That's
Yeah.
people from out of town paying into our tax base, that not our, just in the
So,
district,
yeah.
that people from Sedalia Because county are going down there, so they have that knowledge that we have good ambulance service too, so. I mean, we appreciate it all.
Well, keep up the good work.
There are no other questions.
So,
You're welcome to stay or you're free to go.
I
Gotta
pass.
go.
I gotta work on it.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
We'll move on to the revised GEMT, page 45.
Page 44, that's my error. So, is the beginning of it. So this is just really for your guys' information, on the changes. We won't see these until our payment next year, but I just wanted you guys to see that there was a change and what the changes were. So if you look at you guys have all seen this before. You've seen the GEMTs before, right?
Maybe, Kevin.
And the other one hasn't.
Okay, all right, that's why I was like, wait a minute. So the GEMT, that is basically our Missouri Medicaid cost report. So we're reporting, and this is not based on a calendar year. This is a fiscal year, so it starts July 1st and ends June 30th.
Okay.
Of every year. So if you look at these and you look at a financial, they're not gonna match, so.
Okay.
So basically we're reporting all our revenue, all our expenses. And then what our fee for service Medicaid was, how much it cost us and how much we got reimbursed, and then we get a portion of the difference. So you'll see that on page, I was trying to get to the changes, where page 57 is where these changes in expenses were. And these aren't anything new, it's just the timing of when the original cost report was done and when they did the first review of our audit or of our cost reports, the changes that they made. So now all of these things get taken out when I do them. So it's the special events, board of directors expenses is the things that they took out. And then you go to page 60. This is the settlement, the calculation of how we get paid. So what changed on this page is that our fee for service calls went up about 25 calls. So they send us the Medicaid data in October to do the report by the end of November. But from October to when they reviewed it, 25 more calls during this fiscal year got billed through Medicaid or got paid or something. That was their explanation, because we get the Medicaid data when we do it to reconcile, but then it changed again. So basically we got paid, we're getting paid for 25 more calls.
That's
Sorry.
like Medicaid expansion, you know, a full year. So
Yeah, I
just the
don't know.
number of people enrolled.
It might be, I mean, it could be that they were billed wrong multiple times and they've only got it right. It could be, yeah, lots of things. I did not sift through the thousands. There's 6,000 calls on our calls to figure out which 788, the 25 that were different, basically. I didn't sort through that. So the results of that amount to, sorry to flip back, but it's page 44. The net cost of transports went up to 10,782.10, an additional amount. So we will get an additional $7,000 net, basically. That's what happened. So. And Kevin, if you want to go back to page 60, just so we can see.
60 or 50?
60.
Okay.
And I'll explain that settlement again. So if you look at the top part, it shows the cost of ambulance services, $6,340,000. And then if you look down below, it says the number of ambulance transports, and it's got managed care, crossover, fee for service, and other payer programs.
Okay.
So we only get this reimbursement on these fee for service calls. So that's straight Medicaid.
Okay.
So that's 788. Then if you look down on line 10, there's 788 calls. They take that 788 times our cost per call, which is 1,040.
Okay.
And that's where they get that total cost. And then they reduce it by what we were paid for fee for service for Medicaid, and that's where they get that difference.
Okay.
So basically, that's how much we are under reimbursed for Medicaid
Okay.
for each call. So, yeah. And it's, I mean, it's a great, GMT has been a great program for us. You know, other healthcare industries like the hospital also get to do this for Medicare. We don't get that, so, but this one, it works. Any questions? I know there's a lot of information there. Okay.
This is really difficult. I mean, we get a lot of emails from our staff when we do like versus dish.
Yeah, we get a couple, but not,
Just discussion.
and every time, I don't know if you get the same one, but every time I get the same one, if they take out our capital expenses that are expenses, not capitalized, I have to send it back to them and tell them these are, you know, below the $5,000, then they take them out, so. And they're doing a lot of them, they can't remember that for everyone, but, so.
And you don't get the action on that.
No, it's already, I've already signed the letter, sent it in, it was due June 7th, so it's already taken care of. It's gone. And they were gonna send us the money if we didn't sign it, so.
Again, you're to be commended for your efficiencies.
Oh, thank you. We'll see how efficient I am here pretty quick. I don't feel very efficient right now.
When we go to these state conferences, just about every one of them has GEMT subjects come up, and I learn nothing until I come back here and talk to Jamie about it. I thought one of the biggest things that jumped out at me was that the reimbursements without this GMT, of course, are 25% or less of actual costs. So the money we get from that is just invaluable.
So if there are no other questions, we'll move on to the credit card limit increase.
I don't think there's anything.
And I don't know if we had we talked about this earlier today, but we're having problems with my card. Essentially, anytime I go do a conference or even anything small that requires a deposit, I'm getting maxed out and unable to pay. Bowling poles, I got those ordered and installed last week, but we had to put my AP card because the $970 out of $1,000 of my limit was not enough to pay for them. It was a few dollars short. So my concern is major things that happen, any sort of crisis with the crew, crisis with the ambulance, maybe an out of town issue where I have to pay for multiple hotel rooms or tow bills or whatever. I just don't have enough on my card to pay that. $1,000 limit needs to be a little bit higher for that. I've looked around. PCAD I know has, I want to say $20,000. I'm not asking for that much, but it's just a number. I mean, if you look at the records of what I spend a month, it's not a big deal. When I need it, it's not there because of that. So I would ask that we increase that. I don't know if you have a target value for that or not, but you know, personally, I'd like to see it at 5,000. I think that would be enough to cover just about any emergency situation that came up.
Is that a MasterCard?
Yeah, it's through Central Bank. Yeah. It's just regular old credit
You
card.
know,
Between 545, 545.
there was a lot of MasterCards getting hacked.
Yeah, I think Central Bank had something actually.
With my Lions credit card, because I'm the treasurer for the Lions, I freeze it now. And if somebody needs to use it, of course, there's a limit on it too, but if they need to use it, then I unfreeze it, give them the number, and then they can do it, and I freeze it again.
And that's also one of the problems with having the limit, is because I can't call and do that. Only the people that are in charge of finances at this district, which I believe is Jamie and treasurer. I think there may be one other signer.
It's not.
So if it's a weekend or an evening or something like that, there's literally nothing I can do. I can't go out and fix it myself. Yeah,
Yeah, and ours doesn't have capability.
I can't do that because of the way it counts, so for obvious reasons. Yeah, it's just- But yeah, it'd be very helpful to have a high. especially if you've got multiple people going to a concert or a conference, it gets a little expensive. We talk about incidental deposits and so forth. They'll come back to the card, but just can't get it done without it.
So is this just your card or, I mean, what are
Always, I think, the other one who would probably benefit from having a little bit higher limit, I think the battalion chiefs, the cards they have is fine. I don't think there's any issues with them. Maybe could probably answer that better than I could, but, you know, it's gonna be, it would probably be either me or Roy that had to face any kind of larger expenses like that. Even if some of them I had to reach out to the board, you know, via group text or something to that effect, that would get us over that hump to where I'm not having to wait until Monday or something to go to the bank and get that fixed or increased. So, hope that makes sense.
Does that MasterCard notify you as soon as you have a charge like over $1,000 or?
No.
Ours is through central bank, it's not, like, it's not through.
Ours is central bank too.
Yeah, but I've asked for that and they tell me we can't do it.
Are you on positive pay with them? With the account? We have to
We
record all
are
that.
on our bank account, yes, but it's not our credit card.
I hate that.
It'll save your biscuit.
So this, will need a $5,000 limit as
well, the other question that I have is, in the bylaws, what does it say that your spending limit is that you can approve?
I want to say 2,500, but I don't have that in front of me.
So we need to change that.
Or can you put two names on the same account? Each of you carry a card on this with the same number. That doesn't work like.
No, everybody has their own.
Everybody has to have their own.
It's-
Put an asterisk by the name.
Well, how many times a year would you imagine that you would even have the potential to go over $2,500?
Well, I normally say I get paid to be paranoid, but hopefully never. The potential, I suppose, would be there for something around that number. $5,000 would be ample. I'm not gonna.
I'm just gonna say, when I got my Discover card, I cut my limit way back just in case something untoward happened. Somebody decided to get in there, they couldn't go very far without me knowing, because I put a lid on it.
Yeah.
But,
Well, as a safety mechanism, I totally understand that, but as a function, you know, if I'm, like I said, it's a 3 a.m. rule. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen at the worst possible moment where I can't do anything about caps or lids or anything like that. I just have to be able to use it. Whereas now,
so if it was at 5, you still couldn't make one single expense over 2,500 without.
right, yeah.
Is that a huge encumbrance, do you think, or?
It is. That's why I say I'd like to have 5 on there. I've heard of some districts having up to 20. I don't believe I need that much.
No, but our policy is the expenses over 2,500.
Correct.
Is that
I think that's
real
a
problem or is
single-
that?
It's a single.
It's a single capital purchase.
That's what I'm saying. So would that,
Sorry, I didn't.
that would, we wouldn't have to change that policy if we,
Correct.
all right. In that case, I would be good with 5,000.
I can set that limit in there. I can set, it's a $5,000 limit and a single purchase limit. I can
Alright.
set that limit in there.
Well, let's do that. I'd go with that 5 with the single purchase limit.
Second.
for both Roy and Eric.
Yeah, why not? They're not gonna spend it, so.
We have
And
a
tell me
mo-
again what you want $5,000 limit with a $2,500.
Yeah.
Single purchase.
Per purchase, okay.
So we have a motion and a second for the 5,000 limit with the 2,500 single purchase. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you. The safety grant, the mule.
So we've been talking about this since last year. We finally got some light at the end of the tunnel, I think. We're waiting for, so the mule that we presented to you all, at budget time last year for the grant, can't find it. And so the way Kawasaki works, and I would imagine Polaris and all the rest of them work the same way, is you can't walk into the dealership and say, I want a red, Kawasaki mule. That's not the way it works. They will basically pick what they want at the beginning of the year or whenever their model year's stopping in. And that's what they get, and whatever gets picked up and bought is gone. So everybody's is gone. The model we initially wanted to get, which was the Mule 4010, was a little, it was gonna work to serve our purposes. But now that we are halfway through 23, and we're just now at the point where we might be able to buy something hopefully in the next week. Those 4010s don't exist. So we've had to change gears. We went to a Mule, it's called Mule Pro FX. That's the only thing I can find on a lot. And so far, the only one that I found on a lot that somebody that's willing to talk to me and actually give me pricing was in Jeff City. The price for the Mule, which Jamie had, I can't remember what we initially budgeted at the beginning of the year, but it is. The pricing we got right now is $24,590. Which I'm not sure what the difference is between what we initially talked about, what was initially quoted last year, which it was gonna go up anyway, because when I got it re-quoted again, back in the beginning part of this year, it was $2,000 more than what we initially got quoted back the year prior. So I can only imagine that if we drew a hard line on 4010 and waited till 24 to pick it up, or even get one, it's gonna go more than that then, and we're just, so basically 24,592, it's $1,000 over what they quoted me at the beginning of this year. Or however long ago it was, they actually had one that came here to town a lot. And then the trailer, we had budgeted 5,000 for. I did find a trailer. I believe it's in Centerville for $3,500. It's a change. These are rough numbers. I'll get actual numbers for you guys to look at.
So we started this out because there was a $10,000 matching grant available.
20,000.
20,000 matching grant. We have to match it, all of it, or it's just $20,000.
So we have the grant that we applied for, we had the mule and the patient carrier modifications and a snow blade, all of that was in there. And then they're cot retrofit kits to basically make them be able to, can you explain that better than I can?
Transport somebody.
Well, they're for bariatric,
Yeah.
to make it,
Expand the patient surface is what it is. You've got a bigger mattress and you can ratchet up instead of the old school.
Yeah.
Arms that
Or built for somebody that's 150 pounds.
yeah, so that's what was on our grant.
All the foo-foo aside, are we getting to where we're spending full dollars or are we still on half dollars?
No, so I just lost it. The increase in cost is $1,757 to us, but we're gonna save money on the trailer is what I just heard, right?
Mhm.
The right button here. And then, what else is real well? Yeah, so the difference in the mule and the accessories, right, is the 24,592 number.
that's everything. That's snow plow,
Yeah,
everything that goes along the field that we talked about last year. That's everything.
yeah, so that's the increase in cost to us is the 1,757.
But to make it simple, total project, $40,000 and we get 20?
Correct.
And are we over $40,000 now?
We were over 40 when we started. Let me pull up the graph.
And when is that grant?
And how many mules have we had up to now? 0. And how much need have we had?
They have
Don't
need,
know.
yeah. Are we within
Is
that?
this, we could buy a snowmobile cheaper.
We don't have a need for that one.
Okay, well, I'm wondering how much need we have for this mule?
Yeah.
We have a lot.
If we have to go anywhere off-road to pick up a patient, all the events, Missouri State Fair, I don't have the list in front of me, but yeah, we do have a need for it.
Well, if it's true need, then I could be talked into this.
Sporting events are a big part of it that would probably see the most use out of it. Because we can't get down, can't drive an ambulance across the football field, of course. Some of the other events that we have in town just are limited access for ambulances. They use them out at the fair. And out of about 170, 150, 170 calls away, I think the wheels are probably used on, well, 2/3 of those at least, if not more.
Well, it goes to every single call.
Yeah, and they have ambulances out there, but the need for the wheels is obvious when you got 50 down.
You could take it down the Katy Trail or.
Yes, very much.
Yeah, do we have to, does it have to be the Buell brand?
Well, it's the cheapest.
It's the cheapest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
by far.
skyrocketed.
John Deere was ridiculously expensive. Polaris is ridiculously expensive. This was the cheapest that I could find. And having experience with that particular brand, it's still a solid brand, even though it's the cheapest.
That was my next question, would it be the cheapest, what's the quality?
Well, I know up north, they have a Kawasaki mule, that's 22 years old. Oh, wow. And it's still runs.
I don't make that.
Yeah, so the increase in cost to us is $257 after the savings on the trailer, so we're talking $257. But the original grant was, of course, it maxes at 20, but our request, the right page here, was $41,855 to start. So,
And we have to have the funds on that grant by.
I think it's 2026. We're waiting for grant approval. That's what we've been waiting for all this time, is for the grant to get underway. And then now the grant's underway, but now we have to get it approved because it's a different item. So we need approval from you all and we need approval from Department of Public Safety to buy a different model number because that one doesn't exist anymore. So.
I'd make a motion to apply for the change.
I second that.
Is there any further discussion?
Well, I've got one thing, I hate to see us spending taxpayers' money in another area other than in Pettis County. I think we need to be buying something here.
I know, all I can say is we really did try. I know I spent countless hours trying to get, and like I said, the problem is.
I mean, but we are still spending in Missouri, though, correct?
We are, I mean, and I gave Dick's Cycle, that's the local Kawasaki dealer. I mean, they've helped out a lot. The problem is they don't have the product, they don't have it online.
They don't have one to sell us.
They're not gonna be offended that we didn't buy from them because they had their chance and couldn't deliver, yes?
They may or may not, but I mean, having it and not being able to actually order it and not really being able to tell you when we could expect to have it or what the cost would be is, I mean, that's the rub, you know, when you got one, and then, you know, and comparatively priced, you know, because you have to have three, so I had to call it three. Actually, I called like 6 different people, but I talked to 3 different people that actually kind of talked to me. You know, other places up by Kansas City, and they wanted the 24,500 some change that I just rounded off to you guys. They want over 30 grand for the same thing that I just priced. So I mean, I feel like even though it is Jeff City, and it's not here today, I really wanted to buy this.
Can they give you a trade like they do for vehicle?
Doesn't seem like they can. They haven't alluded that to me.
To Mike's point, we have done due diligence in our own hometown. And we are getting the best bang for the buck for the taxpayer, and we can justify the purchase. Well, then I'm sold.
Yeah, there's a good paper trail on it too. It's as much work.
Yeah, and I'll send you the grant application. It lists all kinds of all the justifications, not all.
And it's not guaranteed that we're gonna be approved for the grant, correct?
No, we have the grant.
Oh.
We have the grant. We're waiting for approval for them to say we can purchase this other item. And then we can purchase the item, as long as you guys approve NDPS.
We're gonna assume that's gonna still be available when they approve it.
So we put the request in Friday. I called them yesterday and they were gonna try to get it done this week, so I'll call them again tomorrow. So
There's a few.
we can't guarantee it's
Grants,
gonna get done, but we're lighting fires.
Grant's been a long, drawn out process. I'm not happy with it all. We've had to take classes on how to spend money, quite literally. And then after we got all through that, we had to go, I can't think of the name of them either, the cot flaps, I guess, the wings on the cot, are a single source item. We can't just, there's nothing that retrofits to our cot, so we have to get them for one person, which raises even more problems for grants because you have to have multiple offers. So we've had to jump through hoops after.
That free money's never free, is
It sure isn't. It sure isn't.
No, they make you work.
Yeah, this one seems a little bit more, but I think a lot of is that.
Any further discussion? If not, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Records request fees.
Okay, that's page 68. Okay, so along with billing, something the billing company has done for us is our records requests. And when I say records requests, I'm just talking about attorneys and insurance companies requesting records, not patients. Patients can come request records free of charge. We'll give them their records anytime they want them, whatever form they want them. So just keep that in mind. What we're talking about here is insurance companies and attorneys requesting records. So the billing company has been handling that because they have those records. And we will then need to do that ourselves. And the company I'm proposing that we use for that, the way they make money is a percentage of what we charge. So therefore, we're gonna need to charge for records. So on page 67, this is the state statute maximum amount we can charge for records. So it's $28.57 plus 66 per, I can't talk, 66 cents per page for records provided electronically. And then sometimes they do ask for paper records. And those are $28.57 plus 66 cents per page. So we have not ever charged for records in the past. So we just need approval from the board to set a fee schedule to charge for records. And I mean, I would propose we use what the statute says. So. Questions?
Do you know how often the insurance companies request the records from?
Pretty often.
Yeah.
I mean,
So it's United and all those.
insurance companies, not really. It's the attorneys. It's the litigation, which is the insurance company's attorneys requesting them a lot of times. So.
Not litigation with PCAD.
No,
Yeah, it's,
no, like a motor vehicle accident or a work comp accident or an accident, somebody's, all the things.
That's got up their costs and they'll raise our rates and don't worry, we're paying for it anyway.
I mean, they're paying those rates right now through it's the same one that the billing companies use. It's called chart swap. I think that's kind of the industry standard. The attorneys all use it. They can put the records requests in electronically. There's audit trails of who asked for it, who provided it, who opened it, all of those things that we need to keep track of. So.
I would make a motion that we start billing for records as laid out by state law.
Is there a second? Second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Billing export.
That was done. Okay, so last board meeting, I told y'all we were working on the data integration between our PCAD, our patient care reports, and Zoll billing, which will be our billing software. So I've got it set up to do it manually right now. But the labor, it's very labor intensive, because I can only do 10 calls at a time. Right now, I'm the only one that can do it as far as billing team wise. And then all that comes is not everything that we need. So we also need other things that are not coming with the manual process. To get the items that we need to come into billing, we gotta pay for it basically. So, there's two options on here on the data integration. And everything we've done with ImageTrend has been more money, more money, more money. So when we did CAD integration, we had to pay for CAD integration. That's how software companies work. So, it's $3,500, either option that we choose. The auto export is probably our best option. I'm still working with tech support to get that nailed down. So I'm working between Zoll Tech Support, ImageTrend Tech Support, ImageTrend Sales, and working between all of these, trying to figure out which is the best one that we need. Zoll doesn't speak ImageTrend language, ImageTrend doesn't speak Zoll language, so I will speak either language, so it's kind of been an ordeal, but we'll get it done. And right now we can do it, and it's manual, and we can bill, and it's not a problem. But it would be much better if we could do this data integration to have the export happen automatically, and not somebody have to go in there and export each 10 calls.
Guaranteed accuracy.
Yeah.
What's the, what is meant by 9,500 annual incidents, and what's the punishment if you exceed that?
So that's where we were at last year. So that's the number that they use. I don't know that we've ever been charged more, but we've never went above that.
With the new station coming,
So I don't know. I know every other thing we have that we get charged the same amount every year. And it does say that the price, if there is a price increase, that it's not to exceed 7%. So.
I just wondered if there was a magic number beyond which they started hooking you.
I'm sure there is, but it's a secret.
Is there a way to lock that 3,500 in for 3 or 4 or 5 years if we pay it all now?
I don't know if we would want to do
Because you
that.
know they're gonna raise it, and we're gonna stay with them because we can't get away now, right?
Well, yes, we can do it if we wanted to. It wouldn't be an easy process, and Eric wants to stab me right now, just mentioning it,
This is part of this whole switch over to doing our own billing, yes?
This 3,500 is, but ImageTrend, we're not locked into staying
Okay,
with.
there is,
ImageTrend.
ImageTrend has a competitor that could provide the same service. Forget I
Not this
said.
service, not
Not this
this,
part.
not exporting from ImageTrend to Zoll, but what ImageTrend provides us with.
So this is the sole proprietor for the service necessary for us to. So they do have us, so can we, I mean, we've got enough money to pay 4 or 5 years ahead, otherwise I know what's gonna happen there.
But if we did change who our EPCR was in 2 years, we wouldn't want to have paid
Okay.
in advance. You see what I'm
There's a
saying?
chance we will change that.
Well, I don't know that we would, and I don't think he wants to, but
could you ask for language to lower CPI index? Or
we can ask for
7%?
whatever we want, but I think this is what we're getting.
Yeah, remember though, we may not be the only phone company in town, but we try not to act like.
Because I-
we're
There's,
big.
there's still no harm in asking.
No, there's no harm in asking. I mean, I've asked multiple times, lots of questions, and this is the answer, so.
I would just add, I think we're at a point where a single year would be a prudent thing to do right now. And then after that, we'll know how it's working. Because the PCR system that we set up, Ryan and I both spent about 3 months back when we had time to spend 3 months. So there's a lot of man hours, a lot of work just changing a lot more than $3,500 at a time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's.
Well, I don't doubt that, it's just that once they
After
catch
that
you,
fact, Yeah,
Squeeze it.
yeah, well, that's what I say, after the first year, I think we got a good idea. Then we could do it for, try and get multiple years. We could ask now.
And I believe, I was just gonna double check what I think. I'm pretty sure we have, even though every time we do a data integration, we do get charged. Our actual software fees that we pay each year,
Copy available.
I believe they've been the same, at least since I've been here. And that's going on 6 years.
Yeah.
So
So is there a motion to approve the billing export?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Have a second.
Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign.
thank you.
Since we have no new business, I will take a motion to go into closed session pursuant to RSMO 610.021, section 2. Second. April, no bill.
Brown,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Turkey,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Now.
Yeah.
Hawk.
Yes.